There we go. And there he is.
Good morning, all.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, great. Good to have you here.
I'm glad to be here.
Well, good. I'm glad. We're having fun. Hopefully share some stuff that will help people out. Our goal is always to make an impact on one person listening. Pretty simple.
Yeah. That's how I feel about it. As long as one person gets something out of it.
That's it. Shoot, even if we just have fun. I'm all about fun. So what we'll do is we'll go on some stuff out. I'll talk about just do a little bit being on.
Hey, Renny, I'm sorry. It's hard to hear you a little bit over the music.
I'm turning it down a little.
Okay.
There,
So,
try it again.
We'll just go over some general stuff. I'll say something about you being on.
Yeah.
And then Chris and I are going to talk about it being a busy week. And then we're going to talk about what happened last week up in Idaho. And then we're going to go in. Chris will do an intro.
Okay.
And we'll go some Q&As.
Let's do it.
Sounds good. All right. I'm going to step away for two guys, get a little drink of water.
No worries.
All right. Oh, we got some good guys on already.
No.
Uh-oh, Renny, are you muted now?
I was.
There you go.
Good morning, Renny Doyle podcast. Chris, what's up?
A lot. We got, we've been busy again. And here we are again for another Wednesday podcast. We missed last week because you were on the road doing some special cool stuff.
Right. A lot of cool stuff. So we got Alex on. I was on Alex's podcast some time ago. Just had a blast. So I wanted to get him on here. And so we'll interview him in a second. So welcome, Alex.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
You bet. So we're going to get through and do some business real quick. But last week, wow, we were up in Idaho. And Chris, you know that we actually lived in Idaho. I went to school there, and then we lived there for a dozen years. And it's hard to believe when we left in 2010, late 2010, who would have ever guessed that, you know, a huge company like, you know, Rag Company, they were around back then, just nobody knew about them. And then, you know, they started building it up, and look what they've become. So we were up there with Team P&S. We introduced our new P&S off-road line. And then also something really exciting is we introduced a new 50 millimeter bottle of Legend. And so the 30 mil is still available. This is just a pro version. It's not all packaged. It's for those that are going to do, you know, if you're doing a full size truck and it's hard to get through it with 30 mils, especially I like my coatings on a little thicker. So we heard that back from a lot of people. So we went with the new 50 mil. So it's really exciting. Now, something that everybody has asked us about, the cool red bottle versus the brown bottle. What's changed? Nothing on the product's changed. In the modern day times, guess what? Shortages are everywhere, and we simply can't get our hands on red bottles.
And so pretty much take what you can get these days.
It's clear, brown, blue, whatever you've got, you better jump on it.
The good news is the coating's not brown.
Coating's not brown. Same. The coating's never been red. It's always been clear. But the bottles just are impossible to get right now. So we have to have a steady flow of bottles. And so we have gone over to the brown for indefinite time until we can get the red again in serious commodities. And we were ordering these things by the thousands, and we still can't get them. And so we just we introduced it, and the regular 30 mil bottle is going to also be brown probably here shortly if it's not already. So kind of expect that. Last week, so you know, introducing being up at Rag Company, man, I'll tell you, meeting the people, just being around the industry and just meeting people and people online, that was probably the most valuable thing that we did, was the people part of it. And going and being at dinner with people in a relaxed environment, you're not online, and you don't have all the, you know, nuances of online chatter and opinions about other people. These were just great people, vendors and detailing professionals alike. It was really cool to be a part of it. And then I went up. Two of my kids were born in Idaho, and they pretty much came out of the womb and had skis on them. And so I went back up to Sun Valley. I try to get there once or twice a year and ski. And Carlos Garcia down at Uber Detailing in Corona, California, one of our distributors, just started skiing last season at 38 years old. And I told him last year if he got into it, I'd take him up to Sun Valley. And then Jody Cedric with Road FS, he lives in Idaho. So on Friday, Carlos and I went up to Thursday night, went up to Sun Valley. We skied Friday. Carlos did fantastic. It's a pretty big mountain. Anybody that doesn't know, it's one of the more premier mountain resorts in all of North America, and if not the world. Even this will pay tribute to Carlos. Our daughter, which was raised on that mountain, she was just up there a couple months ago too, and she said, "Man, Dad, I forgot just how hardcore that mountain is." So Carlos did great. You know, second year skier. Jody joined us on Saturday. We took Carlos for a warm up. Jody's a great skier. Took Carlos for a warm up, and then we wanted to go take him up the gondola, because the gondola's got two ways down. It's got a nice, you know, easy Carlos kind of keep it mellow way down, and it's got a little more, not anything black diamond or anything. But to Carlos, the other way down would be like triple, double hell black diamonds, right? Well, we didn't know it. We didn't look at the map. We were just excited to get on the gondola, and the easy way down was closed.
Uh-oh.
So the double black hill from hell was one of two ways down. You get back in the gondola and go down. Well, Carlos is a pretty adventurous guy, and he got down it, and he only stumbled one time. I mean, really, he was going 2 miles an hour maybe, and the rest of the way he made it. And it was I'll have to post a picture up. It's a pretty steep hill, and especially when there's spring skiing and there's not a lot of snow to mellow that incline out, it kind of does this at the top. And so we had a lot of fun. So Chris, I'm going to let you do the official introduction of Alex here, and then we'll jump into it, Alex.
Cool. Well, if you guys couldn't tell already, our special guest today is Alex Russel. He is the owner of Detail Solutions Auto Spa out in Sanford, Florida. And he's going to have to remind me in a bit where Sanford is in relation to other places. But he's also the host of the Detail Solutions podcast. And, I know he's wearing his podcast shirt right now. At Mobile Tech, we had a good time with those shirts. And there was a little bit of a, what was it? Kind of a...
We did a scavenger hunt.
Scavenger hunt. That's right. That's the word I was looking for those shirts. So that was fun. And then Alex is also a very active member of the Paint Assassins Facebook group.
Yes.
So, anyway. And Renny, I know one thing the two of you have in common that you guys have talked about before is you're both huge Van Halen fans. So, and he's got a really cool polisher that's done up in the, as a tribute to Van Halen with the, what do they call that pattern? Do they have a name for it?
It's just the stripe pattern.
The stripe pattern?
Yeah.
If you ever put that thing up to bid for auction for a charity, I can almost guarantee you I know who's going to win. Just saying.
Man, I'll tell you what, when I first did it, one of my buddies was like, dude, I never thought about that. I want to send you all three of my polishers, and can you do the red, black, and white, the black and white, and the black and yellow? And I was like, no, it was a pain in the butt just doing mine.
Right. No, I think it's cool, man.
Yeah.
We have a younger group that might not know who Van Halen is. And
I know.
Shame on you. Shame on you.
Yeah.
You do not know what you're missing.
I know.
Just, there's so many. Matter of fact, this is Alex. And maybe you're going to beat me on this, but there's three bands that I'm really crazy about. Van Halen's one of them. And I got an announcement, I think it was last year, at the end of the year, that I was a top 3% Van Halen fan.
Oh, wow.
So I listened to a little bit of Van Halen. Oingo Boingo is the other one. And then Zapp and Rogers. What a difference, because some people don't even know who Zapp and Rogers are. But and then the other, I think my top 5 was Van Halen, Oingo Boingo, Zapp and Rogers. Oh man, there's some good ones. Some really, really eclectic. I like old funk music.
Have you gotten into Wolf's music yet?
A little bit. I have.
He's killer.
He is.
He's killer. I got a chance to see him here in Orlando last year and put on a phenomenal show.
I'd love to do it, and I love the fact that I think he's really upped his game since his dad died.
Yeah.
I think he took the passion and just said, "I'm going to run. This is going to be my dad's legacy." I think that's pretty cool. As a fan, we watched him grow up and stuff, but it was pretty. I'll share this, and we're going off completely. But this
I know.
So one of my friends was a really odd guy, Scott, and everybody discounted him. He's a little tiny guy, and I'm not tall, so. When I say tiny, he's, jockey-sized guy, right?
Right.
Scott was when I met him, he's a long-hair rocker dude. He's 3 years older than me. I'm a freshman in high school. He damn near got me kicked out of high school because I ditched so much with him my freshman year. But when he graduated, he kept saying he knew everybody. Oh, I know that guy. And we're like, yeah, right. Well, so one day I get a call from him, and he goes, hey, man, I've got tickets to Van Halen. You want to go? And I'm still in high school, right? I lose my mind. Well, we get there, and he'd been telling me that he knew David Lee Roth, right? I'm like, yeah, whatever, Scott. Well, he did. So we go to the concert, and we start out backstage.
What?
And, of course, these guys are partying, right? And I'm like 16-0. So I can't partake, and I wasn't into it anyway. So they were super chill, super cool. Scott had been out. He'd been following the LA tour. He'd been there. And so they had this thing happen the night before, and it's a gesture with your mouth. I won't repeat it because it's a little vulgar. So we're like third row center. David Lee Roth's coming out on a outstage, on a ramp.
Yeah,
it's out there, and they get into a song, and they're taping the concert live. And Scott does this vulgar thing with his mouth, and David Lee Roth, as he's singing, giggles. Well, it's in the live song today. And I lost Scott 18 years ago. He died.
Oh, man.
And every time I hear this song, Scott's alive, because we go back to that concert so many years ago when David Lee Roth giggled seeing Scott do that.
Yeah.
Whenever I met, it was kind of stupid. It was funny to all of them. So there's my one Van Halen. And we got backstage for 20, 30 minutes after the concert. Because I was underage, I got kicked out. Scott, being the friend he is, left me. So and I would have done the same thing.
Right.
I'm sitting out there in Los Angeles, trying to figure out how the hell I'm going to get home. And Scott shows up a couple hours later. There's my Van Halen story.
That's awesome. That's a better Van Halen story than I got. I don't have
it was
anything.
Really, I mean, it was, I like to think, I definitely, made an impact on me, but, they wouldn't remember me, for.
Yeah.
I remember when Facebook and Instagram all started up, Michael Anthony posted something up, and I thought, I'm going to go in there and make a comment because he's a Porsche guy. Nope, nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, man. Come on. Didn't have all this extra sharp stuff.
Right.
So, hey, I'm really excited to have you on, man. I think you're one of the young guns of the industry that's doing a lot of
I appreciate you say young guns. I just turned 49 last month, so like 2 weeks ago. So thanks for
never mind. Yeah. Chris, you look young though. You look great.
Thank you.
Well, you're still young.
Yeah, we're all getting up there. Just a little shout out for Renny. Yesterday was his birthday, so
that's right. Yeah,
happy belated birthday.
Happy belated. Yeah.
It's I'm one of those guys, man. I was talking to one of my mentors yesterday, called me up, and he's the same way. I just like getting older. I don't mind. I mean, what's the choice? You could find. I got friends that are like, oh, dude, I try to take care of myself, right? But I just don't mind. Mind. So it's pretty cool. So before we get started, too, I just wanted to let you guys know. You guys know I'm big into making myself notes every quarter. You can see mine's open. 5 tasks. I nailed 3 of them. Was semi successful at one of them and failed on one of them completely. And I'm really embarrassed at myself to say that I failed at one of them. So guess what? Guess what's number 1 on the list going in for next quarter? Guess what? I'm not going to fail on this time, and I'm going to do better on the other one. But the good news is 3 of them are off the list. They're done.
There you go.
I don't have to put them up anymore. So that really works. So if you haven't making a note to yourself every quarter and holding yourself responsible, you need to start doing it. So cool. So here we go, guys. So what got you into business? Alex, what made you say, hey, I'm gonna get in and be self-employed?
I kind of got pushed out of the nest, so to speak. So most people know my career started in '95 at the car wash. I worked my way into the detail shop, worked my way into management, ended up running locations around the Central Florida area for 20 plus years. And the last car wash company that I worked for, I had managed to get into I made my own position because I didn't want to be a manager. I didn't want to work the 60 hours a week. I wanted to have that family time, right? Like that work-life balance kind of deal. And so I worked myself into a position where I was in charge of the detail shops and the sales for the car wash on the car wash side for 2 locations. And it was a way for me to get paid management money because it was percentage based off of how well the car wash and the detail shops did and managing the detail shops. So the owners of the company said, we've been bought out, so to speak. Mr. Car Wash pulled up with a dump truck load of money, and I can't fault them for, taking the keys of the dump truck to the bank. I didn't want to go back to being a manager for this new company. I didn't want to go back to 60 hours a week or whatever. I had started to learn what, we were still doing the old school rotary polishing, slap a glaze on it, whatever. And we had started getting into paint correction and things like that. I had started, pushing the car wash to do that. So yeah, it was one of those things where, I went to my wife and I said, hey, look, I think I can do this. I have enough clients at the car wash that'll come with me and, I can start out. And 7 years later, here I am.
Wow. What year was that? What year did you?
So it was right at the end of 2016. Okay. If I remember correctly, or no, maybe it might've been the end of 2015. It was in October. I went to work, I went to work the last day for the company. It was a Tuesday. I remember it. I got fired because, I was supposed to come back and get rehired the next day for the other car. And I just never showed up. I took Wednesday off, and Thursday I was in a shop working on cars.
Wow. So, this last week with Carlos, we're talking about facing fear, and fear is such an amazing emotion, because fear can really, it could save you, from a lot of things, and it can also really hunk you up. Right. And so at that point, what was the fear factor? I mean, were you pretty like gung ho and on it, or was there a part like going, what am I doing?
a little bit of both. So I was very lucky that, so one of our clients at the car wash was a little used car dealership that was around the corner. And we were doing like, $100 wash and wax, interior wipe downs for them, because they would bring us like 20 cars a week or something like that. So when I had made that decision that I wasn't gonna go, I mean, it wasn't kind of like a day and night thing. The owners, I had known them and worked for them for many years, kind of on and off. And, they took all of us management out like a month and a half ahead of time, and, kind of gave us the scoop. So it gave me time to make that decision, figure it out. And one of the things that my boss, who was, we were friends, he told me, he said, listen, if you're really not going to come back and you're really going to start your own detail shop, he said, take from now till then and just let everybody know that you're going to start your own. The new car wash company didn't do details, so it wasn't like I was stealing clients or anything, right? So this little used car dealership, I went to them and I said, look, I'm starting my own thing. The car wash isn't going to be doing them anymore. Would you guys be willing to stick with me? And so they were kind of the saving grace, because they said yes. And when they asked me where I was looking for a place, I said, I don't know. I haven't found anything yet. And they said, well, we have a 30,000 square foot warehouse. Why don't you just rent space from us? That way we don't have to drive cars to and from. You just take them either off the lot or from the little mechanic guy that they had, and, do it like that. So I started with guaranteed work. And then from there it was, we started doing the $100 deals, and, I was making, $1,000, couple $1,000 a week from them. To then they wanted a little bit more. So we had to, fix the pricing for a little bit more. I had to bring a couple of guys in to work with me and things of that nature. So yeah, there was a lot of fear in it, but thankfully it was, I kind of hit the ground running with it. I didn't have to like, where's my next job going to come from kind of deal.
Well, you set yourself up nice to that, because that was,
we're
cool with you, right? I mean, that was a good one. And I'm going to give this back to you and them. Is, one of the pillars, I call everything, a triangle, a pyramid, and relationships are at the top of that. And it sounds to me like you had built up a solid relationship with these owners, and they were in turn taking care of you. Is that you were an honorable guy, and I think with honor comes opportunity, and you're living proof of it right there. That's cool. I never heard that story before, so that's really cool. So you're not new to business, because you managed a lot of bigger businesses, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
A small business, let's even talk, one-man shop, two-man shops, mom and pop, Main Street America businesses. That's what most of us are.
Yeah.
What are we getting right? What do you think that, looking around, you're like, you know what, the industry, whatever, however you want to look at it. I like to go and and I always have, twist to my businesses from other service business, like restaurant businesses.
Yeah.
Especially something like that that's really hot, center point on service. So what do you see that the small, mom and pop businesses are doing right now?
Man, well, I can't speak for everybody, but from what I did, I was very fortunate that, everybody kind of has this idea or this image of car washes, right? Of just kind of being bums or whatever. Luckily for me, that most of the car washes that I ran were in really nice country club style areas here in Central Florida. So, the owners of the one that eventually I ended up leaving, like they came from the country club, lifestyle. They amateur golfers and, things like that. So we presented ourselves very, high class. Customer service was super important. It wasn't just kind of like, well, sorry, we damaged your car kind of deal. I mean, we went above and beyond, even if you could tell the part was already broken and he went through the car wash and just ripped it off all the way. Right. So I think that helped me with going into my own, because I had already had this level of customer service that I was expected to give. And growing up, I credit my parents, teaching me to be a good person growing up. And, you get what you give, you treat people right, kind of the golden rule deal. So I think that helped me a lot with my clients, because a lot of my clients to this day are friends, right? Like they ask about my wife, they ask about my daughter, they ask about my daughter's cheerleading, they ask about whatever. And it's just because of the way that I treated them, that we built this bond. And we just, like I know their family, they know my family. And especially some of them that followed me from the car wash. So like, these are people I've been dealing with for way longer than just the 7 years I've opened. The other thing I think I kind of got, I guess maybe helped me get right was, and I was talking about that this morning with a friend of mine. Everybody says detail season is coming. Detail season is coming. Florida, I don't think we have detail season. I think it's detail season all year, but there's waves. There's highs and lows in Florida. And I always saw that in the car wash. We would have our busy times, we'd have our slow times. And when I left on my own, I was able to say like, okay, if it follows, this is when I should be busy. This is when I should be low, back up again. And it did. It followed those trends. So I was able to know, like, make hay when I can, because, hey, next month might be a down month. And I know if I can make hay now, I can survive these couple of down months to get back to make hay again. So that's some of the things that I think I got right, taking from my knowledge of, another business.
That's cool. So on the flip side of this, and this is, service businesses, and I think we're in trouble right now.
Yeah.
The service businesses. And, a lot of people say, well, it's not our fault, we can't find help. Man, I think that's a bad excuse, because you go in, it's got to adjust everything. If you can't find help, then you've got to adjust something. What do you see that service, what's business is not getting quite right in your mind right now that you would love to grab the owners and say, look you need to do this.
Yeah.
And it would make your life so much better. Is there something that kind of pops out to you? And by the way, man, I'm throwing, Alex, you didn't want notes.
I know. I didn't.
I love this, because this is what I loved about your show is we're just kind of raw. And so we're going raw, man. This is cool. So what do you see that you'd like to grab, these business owners and just a little gentle shake to wake them up a little bit?
Well, again, I feel like I can only, reply to detailing, because, even my old boss will call me and he'll ask me things about the car wash. And I have to tell him, like, I don't pay attention to the car wash anymore. Like, I'm not in a restaurant industry to know restaurant. But as far as detail goes, I think some of the detailers, maybe the issue that they're having or things is the ego, right? Like, we all want to be, the best, the baddest, the whatever. But I think egos get into play with it. And especially in detailing, if you're starting out as a one-man band or one-man shop, one-woman shop, whatever, right? And then now you get to a point to where you need to bring people on. But if you don't have the right mindset to grow, right? Like you have to grow out of necessity. You're not scaling to grow, right? And that's what I think is, you try to hire somebody in, but you don't have the abilities to coach or train or manage. You're going to lose employees, or you're not going to get people to stick around for very long. And that's where I feel, again, some detailers, they're just used to kind of only working for themselves or by themselves. They have the mentality of, if you don't like it, then, get the F out, whatever. And I think that's the thing that stunts people from growing. And it's, if you're going to scale to grow, you have to learn yourself how to be a better manager or a better role model or a better trainer.
Boy, I'll tell you, amen. Well said.
Go
ahead, Chris.
Oh, I was going to jump in real quick. One of the things I see, it's loosely related to customer service, but I think is a mistake here in our industry is, people make their businesses seem a lot bigger than they actually are. Yeah. By using the words we and keeping their face out of the pictures and stuff like that. And I really think that that by kind of personalizing it more, getting your face in all the images, being that face of your company, introducing your customer to yourself instead of the general we of the whole company, can go a long way on the customer service side, even, making it feel more personal.
Yeah, and you're right, because I use we a lot too, and people look at me and go, "How many people you got working for?" I'm like, it's just me, but it sounds better when you say we, because as a business, it's we. So no, I think you got a good point there.
Chris, I had to learn it the hard way. I was in Sun Valley, Idaho, one of the most wealthiest communities, in the country, and I had that mentality because I just come out of a corporate position of having a massive, biggest staff as I needed. We'd go buy a new company. I'd go in and take it over, and I would say, hey, I need this, this, and this, and I got it, right? Well, so then I go into my own small business, and I keep that corporate America style going. And it took me about 2 years to figure out these cats aren't buying from corporate America. They're buying from Renny.
Right.
They want Renny involved in it. And Chris, to your exact point, man, the second I backed off of that nonsense, I skyrocketed. My value went through the roof. I could charge a lot more money for what I was doing. And I was like, duh, and it's something that we still today. So Chris, you nailed it, is that there's pride, especially for me coming up through the ranks as a small business. There's pride for me buying from a small business, is that I seek a small business out. And if I've got a chance to work with somebody that's a 10-man team, where I've got I'm looking for PDR, and there's a big shop, but I got a guy that's him and maybe one other person, I'm going to go with the guy with him and one other person. The reason why is I'm getting the main dude working on my vehicle, and I like that connection. So it was a lesson learned. So great point, Chris. And so tell us one lesson, hard, good, bad, doesn't matter, good, bad, ugly, that you've learned from business that you'd like to share with people. What's one big lesson you've learned?
Oh, man.
So you should have taken the notes.
Yeah, maybe I should have. No, so one lesson that I think I've learned is you can't be afraid to hold your ground. And that's kind of again a big thing with this industry is I think a lot of people come into it when you're starting out, you're a little unsure of yourself, you're unsure of your pricing, so you might be charging X amount of dollars, and the client comes in and goes, well, the guy down the road will do it for whatever, and you kind of cave to it, and it's hard, especially when you're starting out. But that's the one thing that I've learned now is I started getting more successful and more clientele when I started raising my pricing and holding firm to it, because clients, especially the ones that are doing their due diligence and calling around, or they're doing research on whatever they're looking for, they know a price point of what they should be paying. So if you're in that price point or higher, they know you're the guy to go with. If you're under that price point, they might be like, yeah, it's cheaper, but what kind of work am I going to get? And that's the thing, that it took me some time to learn, is my price is my price, right? I mean, we say it all the time in detailing, but hold that line. And sometimes, somebody might be like, no, it's too much or whatever. And you have to let that client go, because what's going to happen? You're going to lower your price. You're going to take that client who's going to be a pain in the butt because it's a low price client. And 10 minutes later, you're going to get a phone call from somebody who wants that day and was willing to pay your price or more. And now, so
Hey,
don't be afraid.
Grow into you. What you
Yeah.
just said. Let the people that can't afford you grow into you. If they're serious and they're going to be a repeat customer on detailing, in any business, I don't care what you run, let them grow into you. They're going to they heard about you somehow. They're going to keep hearing about you. And you know what? Their taste, I grew up, I didn't know what a nice restaurant was.
Right.
Sizzler, first time I went, I was like, wow, what is this marvelous thing? I had to grow in, and I got to be honest, I still like Sizzler,
Yeah, I was going to say, don't knock the Sizz.
Yeah, I like Sizzler. So, there's not many of them out there, but I live in one of the towns in America.
There you go.
We got one, But I think that you're speaking gospel right there, man. You couldn't have nailed it any better. Is that, and being the cheapest doesn't take you anywhere. It's just a fight to the bottom.
Exactly.
Now you're fighting with the zombies, man. Why do you want to fight with the zombies? You got to get up with the sheriff dude in Walking Dead. That he's got the shotgun.
Yeah.
You don't want to be down with you want to be with the survivors. You don't want to become a zombie. Man, because once you take that, I don't know where the hell I had drank too much coffee. Once you take that, that bite out of cheapness and you start going down that cheapness, you're a price zombie.
You're right. And I told a buddy of mine this morning, I said, listen, I said, the minute, because it's slowing down, it seems like around here, and I don't know if it's just, that time or whatever, but the thing is that I try to tell people is, don't cave, don't lower your price, because the minute you lower your price, it's going to be twice as hard to get your price back to where you were. It's better just to stand your ground. You might lose one or two, but there's going to be one or two behind them that'll come and take it for what you're charging.
Great advice. So, as mentioned earlier, I've been a guest on your podcast.
Yes, sir.
It was a ton of fun. Love being on it. So, tell us about your podcast. What's it all about?
Oh man, it's fun. So the way that I explain it to everybody is, when it originally started out was a way for me to reach out to guys and girls in the industry that I look up to, that I admire their work, that I would want to talk to, but, I don't know them. And it's kind of hard to, like slide into DMs, like, hey, can we be friends? Whatever. Right. So I wanted it to be that, we're just sitting down at a bar table, patio, just having a drink, getting to know each other kind of vibe. And then when it started, I did 5 episodes. I said, let me try 5. Let me see how it goes, and 5 turned into 10, turned into, I don't know, I think we're 100 and something, 40 something now or whatever. But on the flip side of that was I wanted every 10th one to be a topic. I wanted to discuss something in the industry and try to give back some kind of knowledge or information versus just talking to people. So like the first one I had you on with Dan Williams, and we discussed like the business structure and things of that nature. So eventually the business one or the topic one started coming to me more often. Right. And I was like, well, I can't do this every 10th one. And I said, well, I'll do a second episode every week, and that one will be topic. So that's kind of how we started. We still do one, and I'm using Chris's thing. I still do one, one is a Q&A. And then I have Jason Bruno from Paint Assassins who comes on, a lot of the topic ones with me and kind of co-host with me. And sometimes he'll bounce, an idea off of me that he wants to talk about, and it's a great topic. And, and so then what we try to do is we try to find somebody in the industry that would be great for talking about that.
What a great dude too, ain't he? I mean,
yeah. Can't complain. No, He's listening, so I can't talk bad about him. Yeah.
Great guy.
Yeah. But that's kind of all it is it's just a hangout. And I mean, even when we do the topic ones, it's opinionated. I mean, sometimes I can get a point counterpoint. I can get both sides. Sometimes I can't, sometimes we all just agree on the one way too much. But again, it's just putting knowledge out there. It's just getting information.
That's cool. What made you start a podcast? What was the drive?
Oh man, I tell everybody I did what everybody else did in 2020. I started a podcast. I mean, it's COVID, right? What do you do? No, again, it was just one of those, like, it was kind of a pain to try to message people on Facebook and, say, hey, I really admire your work, this and that, and whatever. And I thought, maybe if I did it in a podcast form, because then it's not just me learning about that person I'm talking to. It's everybody who listens will get to know that person. They'll get to tell their story of how they started, where they're going to, what they're doing, this and that and the other. So that's kind of how it evolved, or that's kind of how it evolved, was just, I started taking these little messages that I was doing, reaching out and saying, well, let me do a podcast. Podcasts are popular right now. So let me join, let me jump in the pool with everybody else.
I think it's cool that the name of your business and podcast are the same thing.
That's just me living up to so I title it as I'm the laziest podcast out there. And that just fits right in, because I was too lazy to come up with a new title. And honestly, my name kind of, my business name, Detail Solutions Auto Spa, it's supposed to be like, I'm the solution to your detailing problem. Right. So I kind of figured, well, that does fit with the podcast too. Like, we could be the solution to the detailing podcast or to the detailing industry. So yeah, it was.
There's one podcast that's lazier than yours.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Podcast. I mean, we really did. We just stretched it there, didn't we? I mean, it's just like, wow.
We started this one, 2 months before the pandemic?
Yeah, 2019.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
2019.
Yeah, and then it just, everything changed.
And it really changed the whole message. We're just now starting to get back to what our original goal was.
Yep.
Because it just took it down a rabbit hole, and it was cool. We had to. We've gotten hundreds of messages saying, hey, man, this, that, thanks.
Yeah.
So, it was definitely worth it. But part of this podcast was also my dream and vision, Chris's dream and vision of what we wanted to do. And so we're getting back to that, the roots of it.
Well, and I think part of it too is, as the more you do it, it's going to evolve anyways. I mean, I keep constantly telling myself I've got to get back to the roots, right? Like to use Billy's terms, right? The guys and girls in the trenches, because I've gotten to a point now where I'm starting to get bigger names, bigger, people on and things like that, which is great. I want to talk to them too, but I don't want people to be like, man, you're not taking care of the people like you, that are grinding it out every day.
Absolutely.
So I constantly, like, fight myself, like, okay, well, I've got to, get back into, somebody who's just, in the trenches grinding it out. And then we'll go do one with a Renny Doyle, and then we'll go back to,
Well, you know what, though, as a person that listens to yours, the thing about having the big names in, I always learn something from it. And they've been down so many rough roads.
Yeah.
And they've been able to smooth it out somewhat. And let me tell you, anybody that tells you, oh, man, business, they're full of it.
Yeah.
It's just, you know what? The only thing that happens when you get more money and more success is the challenges change.
Right. Yeah.
There's still challenges. They just sometimes get bigger.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I like it now that it's kind of become a little bit more broad and a little bit more wide, where we're able to, and especially with, the help of guys like you. I know I've reached out to you a couple of times to maybe kind of, help me reach out to somebody to inquire about them being on the podcast, and just, other people talking to, people saying,
guy named Chris Woolman, I'll put an in with you.
Yeah. He's a tough guy to get a hold of.
His schedule's tight, man.
Yeah, I know it is.
Your schedule's tight.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I think you've done a great job with it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
One of the most important questions I've got, and this was not even on my notes, you got to tell me about that photo in the background, because I've been looking at it and it looks, what the hell is on top? Okay, there we go. So, so you got to tell me the story about this. Okay. I know that, tell me there's a story, because it's a Sanford episode right now. It's driving me freaking crazy to know what the grill on top of the mic and the city and the river and everything means. Tell me, please. And
so that painting means a whole lot to me. So, as most people know, me and the wonderful Mr. Aaron Knox have probably one of the best bromances in all of detailing history. I don't care what anybody says or what he says. So when Knoxy started putting up some of his paintings, I reached out to him and I was like, dude, I want a painting. Are you just doing it for fun, or are you commissioning them, whatever? And he said, man, I'll paint you. He said, what do you want? And I said, man, I just want something detailed, podcast related. And he told me that was stupid, to use a better word than what he said. and I said, okay. So he said, I'll just paint you something. And I said, honestly, I don't care. Your work is amazing. I want something. So he came up with this. So it's King Kong sitting on the microphone looking over the city. And it's because he has so much faith and belief in me that he believes that I'm King Kong podcasting to all of the detailing industry around the world.
I'm so glad I asked that. That dude's remarkable. You're remarkable. That now, I knew it had to have something behind it.
Yeah.
And man, I'm glad I asked you.
It ended up costing me more than I wanted to pay, even with him, giving me the homie hookup. But because here's the thing, right? Like, you're staring at it. I'm staring at it because I'm looking at the screen. Right. So I'm always enjoying it. I enjoy it every minute.
I could have done one for half the price that he did. I'm just telling you right now. But the thing is, you couldn't have told where the mic was, what the river was, if there was a city. It would have been one of those. Is that they would have asked you? It would have been a criminal investigation. Going, tell us what the dots mean.
Yeah. Well, and the cool thing is it's kind of hard to see, but so like this little line right here.
Yeah.
Like, he did it in like a metallic-y type silver, so that's why when the light hits on it, it kind of like reflects a little bit.
I can see it.
Right down here, it's hard to see, but it says Detail Solutions Co.
That's
so he did some pretty cool things, and I'll tell you what, this is how good that he is whenever I try to take a picture of that photo or that painting, my iPhone puts a little square around the gorilla's face because it recognizes a face.
Wow. That's
funny.
And if you tell me it looks like me, I'm going to kill you.
No, I don't think so. I think it just looks like I don't know if you can. Let me see if I can try to.
Dude, that is just. I'm so glad I asked about that because that's just.
I don't know if you can see it.
That is over the top freaking cool, and the fact that dude did it for you, he's unreal, man. I mean, he's just. I haven't had much interaction, but every time I'm around him, I'm just like, holy crud! You can just tell you're around brilliance.
Yeah,
you really.
Maybe I haven't been paying attention, but I didn't even know he did paintings like that.
Oh no! Dude.
Yeah,
he does a lot of cool shit. You know,
the things he does would blow your mind. I mean, he's one of those guys that like his brain just doesn't shut off. So he's constantly, between painting and detailing and coming up with products and half the other stuff that probably nobody knows about.
It's one of those things I ask myself sometimes, dang, dude, why'd this guy go into detailing? Because he's so brilliant. I don't mean that in the way, but I mean, because he followed his passion. A lot of us, we got into it because it was survival. Is what we did when we were younger to make money. We kept doing it, and we were good at it. But it's obvious he's got so many other skills, and that's just, man, I'm glad I asked you. So that was matter of fact, look at I even circled it down. I'm gonna ask him what that picture is.
Well, by the way, Jody says you look less like a gorilla and more like a bulldog.
I don't know if I told you, my finger's still really hurting. Part of the reason is I skied with Jody this weekend, and my finger's really hurting. I don't know if I told you that. So. Hey, Alex, this is awesome. So, Chris, let's go into this. What's your takeaway from today? You got something on there?
My takeaway? Honestly, we just had it. Now that I think about it, I love the fact that we just learned some cool thing that's not detail related about somebody in the detailing industry.
Yeah.
So I think, sharing people's talents and passions outside of what we do day to day is pretty cool and important, because I think it shows that there's just more to us than just making cars shiny.
Right.
You know what it is, and I'm gonna go right off of that, is that I had a couple other takeaways I was gonna mention, but I think what I just walked away with is seeing the relationship between the two of you, and the fact that he did a painting for you. You paid for the painting. Probably a damn good deal, because it looks like it took him a lot of time. But the fact that the friendship was valuable enough for you two to connect at that level, I think it goes back to, again, talk about the pyramid I talk about in that relationship at the top. is that I think it's a good testimonial to you two, both of you, of what connections should be. And that's probably going to be a lifetime connection, you know?
Yeah, I hope it is. I mean, he is one of my mentors. You know, as much grief as he gives me on social media and Facebook and all that fun things. You know, I mean, I can call him or text him if I've got questions or issues, not only about detailing, but how, you know, especially with him being a businessman and you know, running KXK and Reds, and you know, he helps me with the podcast and what I should do, shouldn't do, things like that. So yeah, I hope our relationship and our friendship is a lifelong one.
No, that's killer. So hey, we want to take, and Alex, thanks for so much for coming on. We want to, you know, Detailing Success, our own program. We want to thank our own company for making this happen. Chris and I, believe it or not, work pretty hard on this, but it comes pretty natural. It's just something that we love. We love hearing from all of you. Alex, how do they get a hold of you?
So they can reach me on Facebook as Alex Russell, Instagram arussell5150, and then through the podcast, the social medias, the Detail Solutions Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, which I don't really do a lot on YouTube, but every now and then, if we have a good episode, I'll upload the audio to YouTube. We also have the Detail Solutions Podcast discussion group on Facebook. I know it's long, but you know, but that's the page where we invite listeners and detailers and whoever to come on and, you know, give us feedback on the show, you know, tell us what they liked, what they didn't like. That's where we ask people to come on and shoot us suggestions, either for topics or for guests. Right. That's usually where I'll kind of post up any of the news for the podcast. Pretty much the podcast Facebook page, I'll just post the links to the episodes. But the Detail Solutions Podcast discussion group is the main one.
That's awesome. Well, hey, thanks for coming on again.
Thank you for having me.
I have to ask real quick. Is 5150 the best Van Halen album?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here you go. You know, you've got Van Halen and Van Hagar, you know, yeah. So you have that discussion, right? And for me, how about you? I absolutely love that.
I love them all. 5150, I feel no disrespect to Dave or even to Eddie beforehand, but I feel like Sammy did something to rejuvenate Eddie on the 5150. And I think Ed's music on 5150, you know, till the end was leaps and bounds over Van Halen 1 to 1984. And Van Halen 1 to 1984 was, you know, some of the most mind-blowing guitar playing in the history of rock and roll, the history of music, really. But yeah, the quality on 5150 going forward. And so that's why that's my favorite. I think it's the best.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'd have to agree. So, hey, special thanks to the Double Black Renny Doyle PNS collection. Again, go out and grab your 50 mil Legend. Also, we've got a page that we're promoting. It's Double Black Detail Products over on Instagram. So go check that out. Again, we love to hear from you, man. Anybody that you got some input on this, we absolutely love it, good or bad. Make sure to follow us. If you have a topic that's hot to you and you want to hear about it, reach out to us. So you can go direct to me at Renny@detailingsuccess.com or Chris at detailingsuccess.com. So, Alex, sir, it's a pleasure.
Thank you, guys.
You can see you hammering it out. So stay at it and keep pushing the industry forward. So, everybody take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Adios.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thanks Alex.
Thanks.
Thanks, Alex.